We must take note that the British have always been advertising for posts to recruit, people from overseas. It's a continuous process. So the industrial action, incapacitation, whatever you might call it, it just merely coincides, with an ongoing practice of the British government. You find that they were concentrating on nurses at one time, on doctors on another occasion. So I would like to say the British recruitment exercise has got nothing to do with us. The British should be able to freely recruit as they see fit. We can never stop them. Just like if we also wanted to recruit, we can recruit as we see fit. So it's just a privilege to each and every country to be able to recruit, wherever they feel that they want to recruit. And it is a very, very common issue in England. Everybody knows it. So we will not be able to stop the British because it's their right to be able to recruit. Neither can they also stop us from recruiting if we want to.
Minister?
The laws, the labor laws in Zimbabwe are standard. They arise from one act. So if you are an employee and you go against the law, you shall be treated in the same manner. And as previously indicated, there has to be a show cause in the first place. So like what happened with the doctors, there was a request for a show cause. And this went through the labor court, who then came up with a ruling that the strike industrial action was unlawful, and then moved to describe the various scenarios that had to be carried out. Like, for instance, after 48 hours, the doctor was supposed to come back to work, and if they didn't come back to work, disciplinary action would be taken. So the same thing will happen, with the city of Harare. It has to be standard, and it's in all fairness, so that it's not government which is imposing. It is the courts which are imposing rather than the government. The two parties are government and the employee. And so the employer cannot meet punishment before they receive the correct instruction from the courts. So that is what is going to happen. And in the case of the city of Harare nurses, they were actually paid. Yes, they might have received their pay late, but they were paid in full. Their salaries were paid in full. So the employer, you wanted the employer to be punished. It's not that the employer should be punished, because the employer corrected the situation. But the nurses, even after being paid, they decided not to come back to work. You see, so they have to, we have to follow the law here. If they had come back to work after being paid, obviously that would make a lot of sense. But after being paid all their dues, they still decided that they would not come back to work, which now shows some ulterior motive. And therefore government has to go, the city has to go, to the courts, and seek the correct guidance. At this stage, the city medical department are seeking for the correct guidance, which they will get from the courts. And it has to be a standard outcome, so that no one will be able to complain. And then there was the other question?
Yes, sure.
Can I proceed?
You have them, huh?
Yes.
Okay, good.
So you can read them.
Yes, those who have been fired or what?
Yes, the issue of dialoguing never stopped. As a ministry, we've always been talking with the junior doctors talking with the senior doctors. So that has been a continuous process, really. To the extent that there is really no need for mediation because we are talking on a continuous basis. The other time I had the junior doctors, they came to my office, we made each other see the reality that there is no money. We even invited the personnel from the Ministry of Finance who then explained to them in detail. And they were left without any doubt that there was no money in government. And there isn't. And government tried its best to raise the funding. The remuneration from 30% went to 60%, still complained, and it went to 100%. And I personally spent about 3-4 hours sitting with the people from finance, also trying to convince them, and we realized that there is no money. So what was done was the best that could be done by Treasury and government. Until we said, come back to work, and we'll discuss while we're at work and see whether we can be able to improve while you're at work. So the issue of incapacitation came in, but we have some doctors who are staying within the institutions in the vicinity of the hospitals. They still felt that they were incapacitated to walk to their place of employment. So it makes it very difficult. So we continue dialoguing, we continue making each other aware, we continue having exchanges in order to come up with solutions. That is the correct way. So we don't want to hear the statements that there is no dialogue. There is dialogue on a continuous basis. When someone has done something wrong, if you are fired because you've done something wrong, that is the Health Services Board. That is their mandate. They have to do that. They have to follow that process. They are following the legal process as directed by the courts, and we cannot stop them from doing that. Otherwise, there would be no rule of law. We want to make sure that the rule of law prevails, and everybody, there's no one who is above the law. Everyone has to sing to the law. So we are saying we shall continue talking with the doctors, and there is a meeting which is set. We want to be able to talk, and be able to make each other clever and sharpen each other's brains to do the correct thing. That is what is very necessary. So it's going to be a meeting with the consultants, and we've also said the junior doctors can also come. There's no way that my door is closed. At the Ministry of Health, our doors are open. We shall continue dialoguing. We shall never refuse dialoguing, because out of the dialoguing, we will be able to make sure that we are all on the same plate and talking from the same plate. That is what is necessary. I thank you.
Thank you, Minister. I think
that is the best I can put it. People have to talk. And we will never say no to talking to each other, to find solutions. We have to talk to find solutions. But when it comes to the law has to take its course. Nobody can stop the law from taking its course. So we want to see these issues, the issue of the law being followed by the Health Services Board, and the issue of the ministry dialoguing, with the employees as two parallel issues. I will not say don't come to discuss with us because you've been fired by the Health Services Board. No. I actually want to hear what it is that they will be able to say in relation to all those issues, so that we can be able to make each other clever, just like what we did when we called the Minister of Finance to clarify all these issues. Why is the Minister of Finance not paying us? We know that government has got money. But in the meantime, government has got no money. And this was clarified and made very clear, to everyone by the Minister of Finance. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister of Health. Chief Secretary mentions to make sure that everybody gets treated. Minister of Health.
Yes, you're quite right, Chair. Interventions have to be made, and the situation is that, first of all, I want to correct, your statement that I said that it was from the journalists who say that we hear that the senior doctors want to down their tools. I said I'm more interested in meeting them and talking with them as they have requested, and we shall not stop dialogue. That was my response. Secondly, I want to point out that yes, the situation is constrained. Nobody can deny that. Naturally, this is what has happened as a result of the withdrawal of labor. You see, and government has said come back to work, and people haven't come back to work. So it's not a blame game either, right? We don't want to create a blame game. That's why I'm saying we should meet and discuss. We're in a position to meet. We'll never close our doors, to our doctors to discuss with them. And at the same time, we have made sure, that there are emergency systems in place at all our central hospitals. The clinical officers, the clinical directors, the CEOs, are instructed to ensure that they can be able to provide a certain amount of emergency cover. So this is what is happening at the institutions. I personally had some meetings with some consultants, who also indicated that they would be providing emergency services. And we've said for whoever comes to work to provide a service, they will be paid for it. Right? So whoever comes to work shall get remuneration. But if you stay out of work, you will not be paid. It's simple logic. So we have those who are covering emergencies. Yes, they cannot handle as many patients as they would normally do in a normal situation. Because this will be coming mostly from the senior doctors, who would also need assistance, from the junior doctors. So, yes, if there was an emergency and I had to go to Pari Hospital, I'm sure some arrangement would be made, so that a life is saved. That is what we have said, and that is what we want to see happening. People will have discussions, people will go asunder, but at the end of the day, you've got to be able to look after patients in the same manner that you were trained, and not leave patients to die. And I had the clinic chief director telling me a story, similar to what you've just asked. He went to Perinatal Hospital. There was a child who needed attention from a pediatrician. They called the pediatrician, and the pediatrician came because it was an emergency. Therefore, that is what we want to see happening. So if people want to talk, we should be talking and doing what we also are trained to do. So we want to be able to meet at a forum where we'll be able to say, this is what has happened, this is how we're going to go about it, and we move forward. But the main issue is that we want to make sure that our population gets a service of some sort to save lives. And at the same time, private institutions, there are private institutions which are licensed by the Ministry of Health, and would expect them not to refuse to assist anyone. This is where, we will see the goodwill coming out of the private institutions. If someone arrived at Avenues Clinic and they are not well, we would expect Avenues Clinic to be able to give them some assistance and be able to realize that there has to be empathy in a situation that we are in. So we will actually be grateful to see that creation of that public-private arrangement. Anyone who can be able to assist anyone in Zimbabwe when they are ill becomes relevant. So that's what the story is. Those are the alternatives that we have. And I think, Madam Chair, let me just stop there for now.
Thank you very much.
Going into a meeting to see what the general feeling is all about. People will then come up with their points, and the points will be taken into consideration. That is the way to go. And naturally, they also want to hear from us and what it is that we have up our sleeve. So we only have to meet, discuss, and move forward. The last meeting, yes, the last meeting was good, because everybody got to know exactly what the situation is. And they got to know that Treasury does not have any funds to remunerate everyone according to their wishes. So it was a fruitful meeting, and it was a no-holds-barred meeting. Everybody said exactly how they felt, and we are free to listen. We will not intimidate anyone. We will not victimize anyone. Everybody is free to say what they want to say. Because that was the other issue of victimization. Nobody will be victimized. The law will be the law, running parallel. And the law will not victimize because it's legal. Once it's legal and it's following the law, it does not become victimization. And that is the very reason why we went to the courts, to be able to get that legal guidance. There was sorry, I think someone...
What's the follow-up?
Takawira something, I can't remember exactly what it is.
I think this was, Rumbi was talking about compensation of people.
The doctors who are providing emergency services. And I want to continue saying the same. And we want to thank them very much for looking after those patients who have turned up at their institutions. I think that is the attitude we all have to adopt to be able to assist those who arrive at our institutions and they need their life saved. It would be really devilish if we were to look at someone and leave them to die. So I continue to appeal that let's provide that service as much as we can. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Minister.
Yes, thank you very much, Chair, Madam Chair. We realize, the other issues, after you say what it is that is going to be discussed, the other issues which the doctors and the health workers are saying is that the environment in which they're working is not conducive. So government has taken the initiative to actually make the environment conducive by ensuring that we order more medicines, right? So there's more medicines which have been ordered. As we speak right now, there are several tenders, which have been running and they have now matured, and we should be able to receive medicines coming into our institutions. At the same time, we are also looking at another tender for equipment. So government has allocated, money to be able to replenish our stocks, right now. There is surgical sundries, which have been gotten, and at the same time, there's also some products which have come from the United Arab Emirates, which are going to be assisting us, medicines and so forth and so forth. government has also taken the initiative to ensure that accommodation is made available for the trainee doctors, so that we have most of them living within the institutions, in the vicinity of the institutions, so that they don't have to spend a lot of money, a lot of time coming from far to come to work. And at the same time, government is in the process of identifying accommodation, flats and things like that, which they will refurbish and make sure that they are comfortable for the junior doctors to be able to live in. And transport will be provided. Zupco buses will be running from those flats going to the health institutions. And while they are at work, we have said that they will be given food for free. They will not buy any food. When they are on duty, they will be given a meal and be able to work harder and provide a good service. So we are doing all this to make the life of the doctor, and the healthcare worker, much more easy while they're at work. The work conditions have to be appropriate. Gloves will be provided, face masks, you name it, all the surgical materials that are required, the antibiotics, and all the relevant equipment, the anesthetic machines, those have been gotten, ventilators. We have a team which arrived from India, and they're in the process of commissioning the equipment right now. They're going around all the health institutions, the central hospitals, and they are doing that and also giving training to those members of staff who are there. So we want to make sure that our service continues to blossom, and by the time we have a full complement of staff, we should be able to move forward without any problem. Thank you.
Well, I am left to just thank you, my colleagues, thank you, honorable ministers, thank you, Chief Secretary, and